So continuous time and discrete time signals. So continuous time signals are those which are defined for each and every instant of time. You can see for this particular signal here, at each and every value of time, you know exactly what is the value of x of t. At each and every value of time, you know exactly what is the value of x of t. So a continuous time is defined for each and every values of t. So that means there are infinite values for every t. Okay, say if at all I call this particular thing as say 1 minute here, at each and every second the values are defined. Whereas here, say I think say this is 0, this is 1, this is 2, say this is 3. See, you can see here the values are defined. X is the value of some variable at instant n. I know the value at 2, I know the value at 3, but I don't know what happened at 2.5. Okay, nor I don't know, neither I know the value at 1.8. What happened at instant 1.8? That I don't know. That means a discrete time signal is not defined for all the values of time, but it is defined only for discrete intervals of time. Okay, in between for all the remaining values, it is undefined. Okay, so that is the difference between a continuous time. So you can see continuous time is usually represented by a small t with a round brackets, whereas a discrete time signal you can see is usually represented, not a compulsion, but in your textbook they represent it using discrete time and they indicated by n. Okay, so usually t is for continuous time, n is for discrete time. Okay, so let us see an example. Why exactly do we need such a thing for continuous time and discrete time? Now suppose say I happen to have, what do you think, temperature variations in Bhatkal? Does it vary the temperature in Bhatkal all the time? Temperature in Bhatkal, if at all I say today for example, when you woke up maybe at 4 o'clock or 4:30, the temperature was something like 27, maybe 28, maybe. Then afterwards, as and when you go to 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, the temperature increases. By the time it reaches 2 o'clock, the temperature reaches a maximum value, right? The temperature reaches a maximum value. And then afterwards, as and when you go through time, as and when it's 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, the temperature goes on reducing. And then afterwards, again at the night, 2 o'clock, it reaches the valley. And then again at 4 o'clock, the thing again goes on increasing. Okay. Are we cool with this? So a continuous time signal. So this temperature variation in Bhatkal is a continuous time signal, and this temperature is varying with respect to T, the time, right? The temperature is not constant. It is varying with respect to time T, and say X, we will call it as temperature. When I write X in the bracket T, it means it is the temperature at certain time. X in the bracket, if at all I say 10.3, okay, 10.1, this is the temperature in Bhatkal at 10 o'clock and 6 minutes. Okay, this is the instant. What is the value of X? What is the value of temperature at certain time instant? And the temperature always varies at 10 o'clock, 1 minute, 10 o'clock, 1 minute, 3 seconds, 10 o'clock 1 minute 4 seconds, 10 o'clock 1 minute 5 seconds. The temperature is varying all the time. Okay, so this is a continuous time signal. Are you convinced? This is the continuous time signal. Similarly, can anybody give an example of a continuous time signal for that matter? Can anybody tell me? Say there is this particular patient who is suffering from fever, for example. Now let us take this second example. Okay, let me go to a whiteboard. Let me go to a whiteboard now. Wait a second. Let me go to a whiteboard. Okay. Okay, so are you listening to me? And okay. Okay, let me take an example of say there is this particular patient who has been admitted in hospital because of some fever, okay, who has been admitted in the hospital because of some fever, and you are supposed to see the temperature. How do you think the temperature variations will be? The temperature variations in a human body, they are going to be from, say, from 96 degree Fahrenheit to anything. It may go up to fever case, right? It may go up to 106 maybe. The temperature keeps varying, right? It goes on increasing, it reaches 105. Then what they do, they come, then give him a shot of paracetamol. Then afterwards, temperature goes on reducing. And then afterwards, what happened? Evening at some time, again the temperature goes on shooting, right? The nurse says, okay, there is a problem. Once again, a paracetamol shot is given, and this thing happens. Okay, are you convinced here? So this particular temperature is X. What was the temperature of the body of the patient at any instant? Yes, T. Okay, convinced with this particular thing, by the way? Somebody say a yes or no. A continuous time signal. Okay, so now this here is called as a continuous time signal. Yes, anything? Okay, so are you convinced with this particular thing? Continuous time signal, a thing which changes with respect to time. The voltage, the voltage waveform that you saw in the lab, the voltage waveform, the current waveforms, right? The voltage which you saw on your CRO, that was changing with respect to time, right? So we'll call it as V of t. What was the voltage? What was the voltage at a particular time instant? As you can see, the voltage kept on changing, but in the continuous time, you knew the value at each and every instant of time. You knew the value at each and every instant of time. Cool. Now compared to this, what is meant by a discrete time system, and why should we go for a discrete time representation? Now imagine a situation that this is a patient, right? Okay, this is patient who is having an issue with fever. Okay, and his temperature keeps on changing. Now say there is a nurse, or a medical professional who has been asked to take care about of this patient. Okay, then what do you think? How frequently the temperature needs to be checked? How frequently the temperature needs to be checked? Tell me. His temperature keeps on varying. His temperature keeps on varying. How do you think? How frequently shall we check this temperature? Can somebody tell me? How frequently shall we check it? Should we keep on checking? Do you think the thermometer should be placed on his forehead all the time and the temperature should be kept on logging? Or should we place a thermometer in his armpit, and it should be kept on drawn like this by a male nurse or a female nurse, something like that? Is it practical? Is it practical? Somebody tell me. Is such a thing practical? What shall we do? What shall we do? What alternatives do we have? How shall we tackle the situation? The temperature thing doesn't seem to be working. So what shall we do? Somebody suggest. There is a patient admitted in hospital, and now there is a shortage of medical professionals, the doctors and nurses. Temperature needs to be monitored. If at all there was only one patient in the hospital, the nurse could have kept on checking his temperature, and she would have kept on drawing these waveforms continuously all the time. But that is not a possibility. So how shall we tackle the situation? So somebody tell me how this temperature monitoring should be done. What is the alternative? Will somebody tell me what is the alternative? How shall we do it? What we will do? What we will do instead? We will check the temperature every 30 minutes, okay, or every 15 minutes. That's a possibility, right? The temperature shall be checked only at an interval of 15 minutes, right? Every 15 minutes, right? It's a critical case, so temperature can vary. So, or sometimes you can check the temperature every hour. If at all check the temperature once in a day, then the patient as well might expire. No. So I think it should be done once in every 30 minutes. That seems cool, right? Once in every 30 minutes, let us do it. Okay, once in every 30 minutes. Remember, you come in 30 minutes, then afterwards come at a gap of say 1 hour, then again 45 minutes. No, that's not acceptable. When you say 30 minutes of time interval, you should always check the temperature at every 30 minutes. Okay, you should come and check the temperature every 30 minutes, because even though his temperature keeps on varying and it is there all the time, How can you keep track of infinite samples? It's not economical also, it's not logical also. So what we'll do is we decide that the same, the same patient's temperature shall be checked only once in 30 minutes. So the diagram looks something like, see here, one stick. So I will indicate the value at a discrete intervals of time now. I will indicate the value now at discrete intervals of time. The height of this line, the height of these lines indicates the temperature. Now, since I did not take it continuously, but I took it at discrete intervals of time, I will call it as not T, but I will call it as N, and I will put for a convenience a square bracket. Now, this intervals you can say, I will call it as 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. And I will write an N here for a change. Now, what does that mean? Does it mean that I am taking the temperature every 1 minute or so? The time interval you can see here. What is the time interval? I will simply write here 0, 1, 2, 3. Then I will define the time interval T as how much? 30 minutes. Okay. 30 minutes. Okay. That's how I will represent this particular thing. So now what this means is, that means this is 0, this is 1 into 30, 2 into 30, 3 into 30, 4 into 30, 5 into 30, and so on. So this one here, this signal was continuous time. Now this is its counterpart. This is called as discrete time. Okay, got the thing. Now the thing with continuous time is, you knew what was the temperature of the person at 0, at 1 minute, at 2 minutes, at 31st minute, at 12 o'clock also you know the time, the temperature. 12:10 also you knew the temperature. 12:11 also you knew the temperature. Whereas in discrete time, you know the value. See, this is 0, 30 minutes, this is 1 hour. You know the temperature at 1 hour. You know the temperature at 1 hour and 30 minutes. You don't know what sort of temperature variation happened in between. This value is undefined. This is undefined. Okay, cool. So that is the first representation was continuous time. Whatever the process which we did now, what did we do? We took samples at finite intervals of time. The process was called as sampling, and what we got here was a discrete time signal. Continuous time signal is usually represented by x of t. The discrete time signal is usually represented by x of n. Okay, cool. So what is the advantage, by the way? So are you convinced with this thing, by the way, continuous time and discrete time? Any doubts or anything? Are you convinced with this particular thing? So can you see, by the way, you see it on your mobile, right? I don't know how the experience going to be on mobile. I am writing with this small font, then you are watching. So is it fine? Should I make this lines thicker? Should I go for a larger font size or something?
It is fine, sir.
Huh? This is fine, right? Okay. Yes. Now the thing is, why we should go for discrete time? Now, which one is better, by the way? Continuous time is better or discrete time is better? The representation. Which one do you think is better? Continuous time or discrete time? So in this case of a temperature, logging the temperature of a patient in a hospital, I think the continuous time thing was not at all logical or practical. This is somewhat practical, right? Because it would need one person to be there infinitely all the time. Okay, keep on noting. He cannot even go for food. He cannot even go for any other thing. He cannot attend any other patients also. But there is a larger problem here. The thing is, if at all I want to take this particular continuous time signal and I want to store it in memory, why would I store it in memory? So that I transfer it somewhere. Suppose the patient is admitted here and I want to send his particular data through a mobile phone, through a doctor who is there somewhere in Narayan Hridayalaya, maybe Devi Prasad Shetty, I want to send the data to him. So I have to send it through a digital communication channel. Okay. So for the first rule of sending is you have to store it, right? Then you have to forward it. Now, since there are infinite number of samples here, to store this also you need infinite memory, right? See, as I told you, there are so many values here, right, in between. See, at each and every instant there are values. To send those values, first of all, I need to store them. It needs lots and lots of memory. If at all I want to store it in a digital mode and transfer it in a digital mode, Nowadays, digital is a trend. Nobody is using analog modes of, at least for communication. So that is why it needs infinite memory. Whereas here you can see, say this duration is say something like a 5 hours duration. Say this duration is say 5 hours. And if at all I want to send the data for 5 hours, I want to store it. You can see whether it is 5 hours or even it is a simple 1 hour duration. There are infinite variations that have occurred, and I do not have the memory. Whereas a discrete time counterpart, you can see for entire 5 hours, how many samples do I have, by the way? Every 30 minutes, one sample. So total 5 hours, I have only 10 samples. So this needs a memory of only 10. Even though you take the, the temperature log at once in every 30 minutes, once in every 30 seconds, or once every second, still, even if I take it, if I say if it is 10 minutes of duration and there is something happening, something that is changing very frequently, whether it is 10 minutes of duration or 10 hours of duration, both of them are going to contain infinite samples if at all you are to send it in continuous time. So this is not memory efficient. Continuous time is not digital memory efficient. That is why we are forced to go for discrete time, because digital memory is cheap, digital communication is much secure. So that is why discrete time signals. Okay. So are we cool with this? So that was a classification of continuous time and discrete time signals. So which are all, what signals are continuous time signals? Continuous time signals are defined for each and every instance of t. Continuous time signals are defined for each and every instant of t, whereas a discrete time signal is defined only for discrete intervals of time. The second rule is discrete intervals of time which are uniformly spaced. Okay. Now see, first one you take it at 0, then after 30 minutes, then afterwards 15 minutes, then after 45 minutes, then after 1 hour, then after 1 hour, 1 minute. No. That is still continuous time. For this thing to be discrete time, the time interval has to be fixed. The time interval has to be fixed. And they usually represent it by discrete time. N actually means there is a combination of T with this particular TS, the spacing between the two samples. As I told in an earlier example, it was, see here, the TS is implied and it is not usually mentioned. They simply call it as N. It doesn't mean that I take the values at 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. It actually means 0, 1, 2, 3. The 1, 2, and 3 shall be represented, replaced by the time period. How frequently? Once every 30 minutes, once every 10 minutes, once every millisecond, whatever it is. Okay, it should be defined. Okay, so that is the first classification, continuous time and discrete time. Okay, so what is the second classification? Okay, so that was first classification. Now we have come to the second classification, that is even and odd signals. So let us see now, what is this even and odd signals? What do you understand by even signal or odd signal in common English? What do you understand by even and odd? What is the difference between even and odd? I should, I will let you know. Say if at all, there is this particular classroom. Okay, say you all are sitting in a classroom, and say you are in this particular classroom of yours, and in this particular classroom there are benches placed, bench here, bench here, bench here. There are benches here, benches horizontal, benches vertical. Okay. If at all, okay, see here, 1, 2, 3 rows. Say there are 4 rows and 3 columns. Okay. Say there are 4 rows and 3 columns, and here is the board. Maybe this is your classroom. If at all there are, say, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 to say there are 12 students. If all of you sit one student in a desk, if all of you sit one student in a desk, then what I would say, if at all I draw a line in between, I would say the strength on the left side and the strength on the right side is same, right? Then I would say all the students have occupied the class evenly in English, right? All the students have occupied the class evenly. That's what I would say. But if at all the students, suppose there is a window here, okay, suppose there is a window here, and then there is a window on this particular side. And for some reason, what do? All the students, all the girls occupy this particular bench here, maybe. And all boys, since there was some fan here, all boys sit here somewhere, okay, in this particular area in a crowded manner. Then I would say the distribution is not even, right? The students are not evenly distributed. So usually this term even in English means symmetry. Now, what does it mean, by the way, in signals and systems? What does it mean in signals and systems? Let us see. Let us see. See, the rule is, has anybody seen a sine wave, by the way? Has anybody seen a cos wave? How does a typical cos wave look like? Here, let me plot a cos wave with respect to theta. Cos 0 is 0, right? Cos 0 is 0. Cos 90 is, cos 0 is 1, sorry. Cos 90 is 0. Then cos 180 and so on. So you can see this is the wave. This is the wave, okay, on the right side. On the left side, how it is? Cos of minus theta, cos theta. Remember, cos of minus theta is cos theta. Cos of, so what does that mean? That means all the values on the positive side. If at all you go on the negative side also, you are going to get a very same replica of the signal. So you can see on the right side and the left side, they are actually mirror images. Okay. See, this is the y-axis, right? Say, if at all I consider the y-axis, say the signal cos theta, whatever I have plotted is, say cos theta, and see this is, if at all the values distribution, you can see values on the right side, values on the left side, they indicate that they are mirror images. Okay. So such signals are called as even signals. So you can see cos of minus theta, cos of minus theta is same as cos theta, right? Cos of minus theta is same as cos theta. So this cos theta here, cos signal here is actually a even signal. Okay, the cos signal here is an even signal. Now, can anybody tell me, do you know any signal which is not so? Now, let us come to this sine theta. What's the deal with the sine theta? What is sine of minus theta? Can anybody tell me? Cos of minus theta is cos theta. Okay. What is sine of minus theta? Will somebody tell me? Cos of minus
sine theta.
Okay. Yes. Cool. Okay. Cos of minus theta is cos theta. That meant that the values on the right side and the values on the left side, they were mirror images. Okay. See here, cos 0 is 0. Then afterwards, something like this. Whereas what about sine theta? Sine of minus sine theta is sine of minus theta is minus sine theta. That means sine 0 is 0. The wave goes something like this. And on the left side, the wave is something like this. Okay. Now you can see this particular thing, we'll call it as symmetric. This is called as symmetric. That means if at all I hold a y-axis here, you can see the values on the left and right are mirror images. Whereas this particular case here, you can see they are a mirror image, but inverted mirror image. You can see this is, it would have come on the left side, but the entire thing on the top would have come to the bottom. Okay, it's an inverted mirror image, so it is anti-symmetric. Okay, so such signals are called as odd signals. If at all, you can see a cos theta, a cos signal is an example of a even signal. Cos of minus theta is cos theta, whereas sine of minus theta is minus sine theta. So that is anti-symmetric about the origin. Okay, you can see this is symmetric, this is anti-symmetric. What about tan theta, by the way? Anybody? Tan theta? What about tan theta? Tan theta is little weird, right? Tan theta starts like this, 0, 1 by root 3, 1 root 3, infinity. This is going to infinity. Okay. Now this tan theta is tan of minus theta. Tan theta, whether it is an even signal or odd signal, this is a simple, homework question. That means you don't work it out. Tell me tomorrow. Okay. Think about it. Tell me tomorrow. Okay. So signals can be even if they are symmetric. Signals can be even. Signals can be odd if they are anti-symmetric. Now tell me, What about this particular signal here? What about this signal here? What about this signal x of t? What about this signal? See, we saw earlier there were two signals, right? There was an even signal where x of minus t was equal to x of t. Cos t was an example, cos theta. Then there was an odd signal, x of minus t was minus x of t. I have drawn a signal here. This particular signal, can anybody tell me whether it is even or odd? This particular signal here, you can see, does it satisfy the first condition? Does the signal satisfy the first condition? Somebody, I have just 6 minutes. After that, I end. Okay. So somebody just be interactive and tell me, is it satisfying the first condition? Is it satisfying the first condition? Are you there? Somebody? Yeah, everybody is type in a hi. This class is getting recorded. Okay, just type in a hi. This is for your attendance. Okay. This is for your attendance. Okay. So now this particular signal which I drawn, oh God, I rubbed it. Okay, okay. Here. Okay, now this signal here you can see, there is nothing on the left side. Okay, for the signal to be symmetric or anti-symmetric, there should have been something here, right? There is nothing. Okay, so that means this signal is neither it is even nor it is odd. Okay, this signal here, it is neither even nor this is odd. So that is why signals can be, see earlier I told you about continuous time and discrete time. For that particular thing, signals can be either continuous time or discrete time. But here we are, the second classification, even and odd. So here we saw a cos wave was even, a sine wave was odd. Now this particular weirdo here, this is neither even nor odd. So signals can be either even signals or odd signals, and they can be neither even nor odd. See here, there was one more signal, sign of minus, and there was a turn. So my x of minus t was minus x of t. So this was an example of a odd signal. Okay, this was an example of a odd signal. But then what they say is every signal, if at all there is a signal which is neither even nor odd, can be broken down into a signal which is its even part and its odd part. You can always decompose a signal into its even component and odd component. How are we going to do it? So here is a formula. So what we do is every signal is supposed to be composed of its even component and odd component, and it can be derived. Okay, you can see here there's a small derivation. Okay, just go through it and you can see at the end of it we are getting this particular thing here. If at all I want to get the even component, what should I do? Half of x of t plus x of minus t. And if at all I want to get the odd component, I have to do minus of x of t minus x of minus t. That is the rule. Okay. So what we'll do, we'll continue in next class. Okay, we'll continue next class. Okay, where we will see a numerical example for this particular thing. For the time being, just note down this question. Just note down this particular question. See, here is a formula. Wait, there are 3 minutes. Let us see if at all I can convince you with this particular thing. Okay, so you can see even component is given by x of t plus x of minus t. Odd component is given by x of t minus of x of minus t. But so even component, if at all there is an even signal, cos theta, its odd component is usually 0. If at all there is a signal sine theta, sine theta is odd signal, its even component is 0. If at all I have a signal something like this, see, you can see this particular signal is neither even nor odd. These kind of signals are supposed to contain an even component and an odd component. So to find an even component and odd component, sometimes you can do it with simple expressions, and sometimes you may have to go for mathematical drawing, okay, with the help of figures. Okay, with the help of figures. So here you can see for this particular thing, here's author could do it with only mathematical expressions only. X of t was drawn, x of minus t, cos of minus t was cos t itself. Whereas e to the power minus t, here if at all I replaced a t, so this t became minus, became a plus here. So x of t was the x of t plus x of minus t. Cos was taken outside this, and then afterwards standard definition, e to the power t plus e to the power minus t divided by 2 is nothing but cos hyperbolic. So this here is the even component, and then here this one is the odd component. Okay. Let us see. Now there's one more minute. Let me just go to next slide. If at all there is a better example. Okay. No, it's getting complicated. We'll continue tomorrow. Okay. Continue. Why the strength is less today? I don't know. Your class is supposed to contain more students, right? Anyway, maybe in the next class, you all will come. Okay. So I'll send you an invite. Join that particular Google Classroom. Okay. I will uploading, old copy of the textbook. It's okay. And then there is a solution manual also. Okay. Okay then. Any issues, any query? Just let me know. If at all you're having any doubts or anything, message me. Okay. Don't hesitate. Send me in a WhatsApp. Okay. Okay then. Bye.